Hi, welcome to Bio 204, AMP2. Welcome back, as you can see with the minions. Hope you all had a good summer and are ready to come back and get right into AMP2. So I want to make this little overview. It's just an overview of the syllabus. You need to go through it. You got to read it carefully, right? So all the policies, everything that's going to happen this semester. So make sure you go through that. We'll have a little syllabus quiz when I see you on Friday. Yay, quiz. But I'm just going to go over some basic stuff for you here. So first of all, some of you had me for AMP1. Welcome back. Some of you did not. So I introduced myself. There's a fly going by me. What do you call me? That's one of the questions I get. I'm pretty much fine with Wendy, Miss Wendy, Mrs. Rapazzo, Professor R, Professor. Any of those are fine. My office is in Aberdeen Hall. You can stop by and say hello. I'm from the Finger Lakes area of New York, beautiful area of New York, hence my passion for New York sports teams, which don't always do as well as I hope. You see my background, my educational background. I've been at HCC quite a long time. Lots of kids and some beautiful little grandsons. And the plus is because there's another grandson on the way in November. And just some things about me, things I like and dislike. As far as the course goes, just understand the reason that you're learning this, right, is it's the foundation of whatever you're going on to next. So you guys are all here because you're doing something in healthcare, and you really have to understand the information in this course because everything else will build on it. So sometimes you'll feel like, why am I learning this? It's usually going to come back at some point. Not everything, but it's a really important foundation for the rest of your careers. All right, you don't need my face on that screen anymore. So as I said, Bio 204, you probably know you're signed up for the hybrid section. So the hybrid section is that your lectures are online through these things called Edpuzzles. And then we have lab every single week. Lab is mandatory. How do you reach me? You can see some information here regarding my, obviously, email. The Remind app is a good way to reach me because it's basically a texting app. Try not to do anything too long with that. That can be kind of hard. And when I send out reminders with it, I am limited in the number of characters I can enter. So don't be offended if it's a very brief message that you get. You can see my student hours here. These are walk-in hours. There is a Zoom one, so you just log into the Zoom link in Blackboard and you can do that one. And you just come in, and if you need to see me a different time, we can set up an appointment. I'm not going to read through the entire course here. You can see some of this basic info. Okay, so what do you need to buy? Well, you should have your textbook from AMP1. If you actually bought the textbook, you're good to go. If you purchase the Mastering Access code for 24 months, you're good to go. If you did the 6-month code, it was either $69 or $74. I always forget the price. If you did 6-month code, it's only good for 6 months, so you have to buy one more for the semester. You can do it through the bookstore. Probably easier just to go through the Pearson link in Blackboard for that next code if you need it. Now, remember, you can always get the book pretty cheap. Last time I checked, it was $44.99. It may change by a few dollars. It's always good to have an anatomy book as a reference. I really recommend that you do that. If you're not sure how to get the book, I can show you that when we're in class. You do need a lab manual. We have the AMP2 lab manual. You can buy it directly from Kendall Hunt. You can also get it from the bookstore. It's available as a print copy and an e-text version. Just know the e-text, usually you can write on it on a tablet to fill in. You'll be labeling all sorts of things. It lets you print, but I think it's kind of weird and just lets you print like 2 or 3 pages at a time. And then some other items you might want. These are some helpful apps that I think would be good to have. There's something called Dynamic Study Modules. If you didn't use them in AMP1, they're a really terrific resource. They're quizzing apps. So it basically asks you questions and then you tell it how well you know it. And then what it does is it will only start giving you the questions that you don't know the answers to. Because a lot of times we focus on what we know and we don't look at the stuff we don't know. There's an e-text version from Pearson. There's a Blackboard app you can get. I recommend you get that for your phones. You can view a lot of course information. I wouldn't rely on it for taking quizzes or uploading assignments. It can be a little wonky. The Remind for the texting, and then we'll be playing some Kahoots, so you might want to go ahead and download the app. So the big one, right? How do you get your grade? Well, it's 65% lecture, 35% lab, a little different from AMP1. So you have your exams, you have your online quizzes. Now, I'll be going over all this shortly, and then you have your Edpuzzle lectures. They are graded, so when you're doing these Edpuzzles, there are questions embedded that you should get right, because all you have to do is pay attention to the lecture and use your notes to answer that. You have your mastering homework, 10% of your grade. That should be a 100% because you are supposed to use your notes when you do your mastering homework. Every once in a while, we'll be doing something, might have another assignment I'll give you. Sometimes I'll assign a case study. And then your final is cumulative. Your lab grade, you're going to have 3 practicals in A&P 2. We are going to have some lab quizzes. We're going to do some group quizzing in lab and some assignments in lab. You always have pre-labs and you have post-labs, and then you'll have 1% extra credit assignments. So you can see where your grades come from. They will be in Blackboard, and if you ever have, like I put the wrong number in, just let me know as soon as possible for that. So breaking down the grades, again, you can read this, but I want to hit on a few things because some of you did not have me for A&P 1. So when I teach hybrid, I use an Edpuzzle. An Edpuzzle is an interactive graded lecture. So I'm going to be teaching the material. That is your lecture component of the course. I try to break them down and keep them somewhat small, and I'm doing all of these fresh and brand new for you this semester. So there's always questions in the Edpuzzle, and you are graded on answering it correctly. You do get 2 attempts, so if you didn't do well or maybe misread something, you can go back and redo it. And you cannot fast forward. I can't fast forward lecture, right? You can't come into your lecture class and hit the button, and that's not going to help you. So if you don't have time to view the lecture, you don't have time to take this class, trust me. So all your quiz and exam content is coming from these lectures. Now, I will have a YouTube channel as well, and I will post the lectures there. So if you just want to go back and skip to a certain piece of a lecture, you can do that through the YouTube app. Class mastering assignments. Every week you have a mastering homework assignment. You don't have to do it all at once. You can work on it a little bit at the beginning of the week and a little bit at the end of the week. You can save your work as you go. You get 3 attempts on these, so there's no reason why you shouldn't get a 100%. And guys, that's 10% of your grade, right? That's the same weight as your exam, your final. So use these. They're actually, I'm hoping that you enjoy them. That's how you study. You do things. You practice, you read questions, you look stuff up. You're supposed to use your notes in your book to answer these questions. They're always due Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. If it's not in, it's a 0. But I will drop the lowest grade, so don't forget. They're usually every week, but some assignments go over 2 weeks. Your final is cumulative. You see the information here. Practicals in our lab, so very similar to A&P 1. We spend a lot of time in lab going over the models. They're also in the library, so you want to make sure you have time to come in and study these models on your own. Spelling counts, 1/4 point. If it's completely different body structure or I can't figure out what you're writing, then I mark the whole thing wrong. And then lab, right? We have pre and lab. We have pre-lab, always in Blackboard. You do it before ICU, so they're due before 9:35 a.m. every Friday. 5 to 10 points. Again, you're supposed to use your lab manual when you do them. You should be getting 100s on them. And then during lab, we'll come in, we'll go over lab, you'll do the lab, and at the end of the lab is that little post-lab review. I think it's called lab exercise. You're going to do those, and those are for completion. So you do the work in your group. We do little mini practice practicals every week, and then you show it to me and I show you the key and you get your 3 points. You have to be here to get the 3 points. Okay. I'm going to do some group quizzes in lab. I think that they're helpful. I think it's good to talk to each other. So if I give you a group quiz, I will announce it. You will have one Friday on the syllabus. You are allowed to use your handwritten or typed lecture notes. You can't use your book or your PowerPoint or your phone. So maybe jot down some notes from the syllabus. For basically, you'll be allowed to check that the last 2 minutes, and you have to be here the whole time for the quiz. If you come late, you can't take it. We are going to have a physiology assignment, and it's very, very important that you come to lab. So as far as the organization of the course, as I said, the lecture's 65%. Generally, you always read. Read before the Edpuzzle. Trust me, you don't want the Edpuzzle to be the first time you're hearing anything. You have 2 attempts. That's your lecture. Rewrite your notes and use active learning. There's an extra credit academic skills Edpuzzle that I would like you to go over. I want you to have a plan. A&P 2 is described, usually students think it's harder than A&P 1. I think it's more interesting and more fun because we go over the why. It's all the physiology, but you can't really memorize much for that part. So, practice, right? Rewrite, quiz others, teach someone, use dynamic study modules. There's all sorts of active learning strategies. Do your mastering assignment. That's how you study. If you don't know it, look it up. You're learning. You'll have 2 quizzes a week, Wednesdays and Sundays typically. So when you do your quizzes, again, there's some practice quizzes to help you prepare. See how you're doing on those. See if you know the information or not. That's a good, basically, way of assessing if you're learning the content. You have an exam review sheet. You should do it each week. Do not do it right before the exam. It's too long and it'll freak you out. As some of you know, we are not allowed to use the test center anymore. So exams are going to be through HonorLock, which is an online proctoring software. There will be some opportunities if you want to take it with me, usually on Fridays after lab. But you might actually be okay with HonorLock once you figure it out and try it. And I'll set up a little sample one for you guys to try. And then lab, right? You're going to open your lab folder before lab. Do not wait to try to do that. So figure out a time that you're going to open your lab folder. You're going to read over the material. You're going to do the pre-lab and any activities. Sometimes I have activities and if I say I will check them, I will check it in lab to make sure you did it because I want you to come in lab ready to go so we can do things in lab. We always have our Friday lab meeting and you'll do that little post-lab worksheet in lab. That's the one you show me for completion and I show you the key. And then you're going to need some time to kind of finish if there's homework that week or maybe get to campus and study models. And then the big thing is the lab practical. So I showed you all this stuff on the previous screen about the course, but basically I already said attendance is mandatory on Fridays. You have to be there. There are no makeup labs. For one thing, you're the last lab of the week. So we all use the same lab schedule. If you have an unapproved or undocumented absence, you have a 0. That would be your pre-lab. That would be due. You don't get credit. So don't just do it and not show up for lab. You're going to get a 0. If there is any lab homework, it's due at the beginning. And the pre-labs are due before lab begins. I'm not going to take any late work, so don't even try. You have to come to lab. We've had some issues with this, so if you have more than 2 unexcused lab absences, I'm going to drop your next practical grade by 10%. And that's unexcused. So excused is you get in touch with me. A lot of times I require documentation. We have a conversation or an email exchange, and I'll let you know if it's excused or unexcused. If it's more than 4, your letter grade is going to drop. In fact, it's going to drop anyway because lab is so crucial for this course. And when you're in lab, you can't have the phones in front of you. I know they're very, very distracting. They're very, very addictive. They're designed to do so. So turn it on silent or vibrate, or if you know you're going to be peeking, just put it away because you have to focus on lab. We can't multitask. I know you think you can, but just trust me, nobody can. I can't either. So I want you to be focused in lab when you're in lab. If something comes up and you have to deal with it, it's fine. Go deal with it, okay? But don't be on your phone constantly. It's very distracting. Quizzes and exams. You're going to have usually 2 a week, 1 for Wednesday, 1 for Sunday. Why am I doing this to you? Because you will learn better if you group material and you chunk it. So it's better to have a quiz on 2 lectures instead of a quiz on 2 weeks. I do drop the lowest 5 quiz grades. And there are no makeups. So if you forget to take it, you have a 0, but you'll have 5 that you can drop. They are 10 minutes. You can use your handwritten notes for the quiz. Now they're taken online, right? So yeah, obviously I don't know if you're using your notes or not. I kind of will know when I see how you do on your exam though. So if you're just like looking up every answer and, acing your quizzes, you're not helping yourself because what's going to happen is you're going to fail the test because the quizzes are how you know what you know and what you don't know. And they're only 5% of your grade. When you take the quiz, that's going to help you see what you need to go back and review. And again, I don't mind if you use your handwritten notes. You have those guided notes. You fill those in. You can use them when you take your quiz. But pay attention to the stuff you don't know so you can make sure you learn it before the exam because the exams are proctored. I do watch the videos in HonorLock. And if you use your notes or there's any suspected cheating, then that's going to be a 0. Lecture exams, again, I just mentioned our HonorLock. You have exam review sheets for you to fill out and work on that kind of help you with the material. There aren't really any makeups unless there's a documented emergency, so you need to get in touch with me about that and we'll have a conversation. And just so you guys know that a vacation is not an approved excuse. You know the schedule. When you signed up, you knew when the class was, so do not schedule anything during these exam dates. And you actually have a whole weekend for an exam. So the exams are going to be available. I usually open them up Friday morning and they close Sunday night. If you wait until Sunday night to take it and your internet goes down, you're going to have a 0. So you had plenty of time. If you get a 0, then you're just going to have to use the final exam to replace that grade, because I do allow the cumulative final to replace the lowest exam. So you're going to go in Blackboard. You're there already because you found this. I want you to start clicking around. I have it organized by lecture. So when you go in lecture, you'll see these units. We're starting in Unit 1. That's going to have your review sheet that you want to print and start filling out now. And there's a practice quiz folder that will help you with practice quizzes. And then I throw a helpful links in that has all sorts of just great videos that me or other students have found on Blackboard. You should have time every week just to go in that helpful links folder, have a snack, and watch videos. The unit's set up by week, so you'll see a little blip about the week, the dates, and a little bit about what's due that week. So all of these items are in that weekly folder, and it's organized in that manner. Lab, you're going to have a lab materials button in Blackboard. So when you go there, we're organized by folders again. You'll just go in, and your dates are correct for this one, and you'll go in and you'll see everything you need for that week's lab. And it's pretty much posted if there's a pre-lab. Sometimes remember there's activities to do or labeling or things to write in your lab manual. Remember, you have to have closed-toe shoes to lab, and you can't have food or drink in lab. Now, what you're going to have are these checklists, and I have to finish. This is a sample one. I didn't put the one for this semester in, but you can basically see the idea here. So you're going to have a schedule, and the schedule is going to show you each week what's going on. So it says spring, but this is actually the course schedule. So you'll see the topic, you'll see the online lectures, and then the checklist is something you don't have to use them if you don't want to, but they're just there to kind of help you stay on track. And the idea is you work through the checklist as you work through the course. So I hope that would be helpful for you. And then your syllabus has a little bit about online learning. If you procrastinate, that will not be good. So check out the Pomodoro technique. It's a way to help you avoid procrastination where you schedule work in little chunks. Very important, do not procrastinate. And then I posted this in the syllabus as well, and there's a whole academic skills for you to watch, but really it works. I'm very interested, and I always am reading about how the brain works and the best way to study and the best way to learn, and these are real things that matter. So you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to put it off. We all do. So have a plan. There's a calendar I posted for you. Put it in your phone. When you're doing the Edpuzzle, put your phone away. Focus. That's your lecture. The more you focus, the more you'll remember, and then you might be able to remember hearing it in lecture when you're taking an exam. The exam review sheets are there. Do not wait until before the exam to try to fill all that in. Work on it every week. It's a good thing to do at the end of the week to see, okay, what did I remember from this week? Anything you didn't remember, that's basically, hey, go back and review it. School's a priority. I know a lot of you have all sorts of things going on. You've got families and work and all kinds of stress, but you got to prioritize school. It can't be the leftovers for this class, unfortunately. Sleep's important, diet's important, right? You're paying all this money for the book, read it, participate in lab, ask questions. And the best way to learn something is to practice. So just take a few minutes, and I really want you to go over that academic skills Edpuzzle, and I want you to have a plan for the course. So this is just some overview on what we know happens with studying, and you want to be in the right mindset. It is possible, and you can do this. When I go over academic skills, I will be posting, I'll be talking a little bit about what to do, and I do have a course schedule posted, like this little study schedule. You don't have to do paper and pencil, but it might be good to write out everything and just kind of see what your week is like so you can schedule what you need to do for this course. So I'm really not making it up. It's an average of 15 hours a week. If you can't give 15 hours a week, you probably won't be successful in this course because it's 6 hours. You got 3 hours a week just of lectures. You have 3 hours a week of just lab, right? That's 6 hours. And then all the stuff you have to do to learn the content. And so I always recommend that you put some of these items in the blocks when you set up a schedule. Here's a sample one. And you could put all your other classes on it and all the things you do, but you want to spread it out a little bit. And notice that you can leave time off, right? You got to have time for yourself and time to have fun. And that's important. And if you need any help putting this together, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do it in person or in Zoom. So I probably talked really fast. I just want to do an overview of the highlights of the syllabus. Please go in, read the syllabus. We're going to do a little group quiz on Friday on it. Post an introduction to the course. I'd like to know who you are before I see you Friday. That is due by actually Wednesday evening. Go to week 1 and do the extra credit. You have the A&P review, basically stuff to know from A&P 1, and then academic skills are due by Wednesday. I encourage you to do a study calendar, print the checklist, start working through your activities, and we're jumping right into blood. So you have lectures 1 and 2 to watch, and you have a quiz on them by Wednesday, 11:59, and then jump into your lab folder, read over what we're doing Friday, and get that pre-lab done, and make sure you're all set up for mastering. So this might feel overwhelming. You will get back into the swing of things. You can do this. I will give you everything you need to be successful. You just have to make sure that you have the time and you're able to put the work in. So I'm looking forward to meeting you on Friday.